We are ready.
Look like a jungle.
Yeah. Looks nice on camera.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. Make sure.
All right, stand by.
Okay.
Welcome to Bloomers in the Garden. I'm Len Schroeder.
And I'm Julio Zamora.
And on today's show, we're going to talk about poinsettias
Where they're from,
and how they became so popular.
we'll explain what it takes to get them into blooming at Christmas.
And we'll also explain how to take care of them once you get them home.
So stay tuned, and we'll be back after this short break.
Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call us on the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. And if we use your question on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880, and we'll see you in the garden.
Bloomers in the Garden is brought to you each week by Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Bloomers is an award-winning garden center just 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Bloomers has been providing expert advice, turning brown thumbs green for over 30 years. At Bloomers, we want you to ask us every question, even if you think it's silly. We share information in a friendly, non-judgmental way that is meant to teach and spread the joy of gardening. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County. For directions, go to bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden. Well, Len, we're going to talk about poinsettias today, and we're going to start out with discovering it in Mexico.
Mexico.
Yes.
Yeah, they're a weed, right?
They are a weed. Yeah,
Yeah.
It started out as a weed.
Yeah. So tell me some interesting fact about poinsettias in Mexico.
Well, starting off with the Aztecs,
Mhm.
they're the first ones that found it, and it's called Quetzalcoatl.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
That's
it's
a
big-
mouthful.
It is. And this was happening during the 14th to 16th century, around that area.
Okay.
And one of the things that they used it for was for the sap. And what it did, it controlled the fevers. And and one of the things that came from is from the bracts, which is the leaves itself.
Right.
And they also used it for the reddish dye.
Okay. I can see that
Mm-hmm.
because there were no really other colors. It was just red.
That's
so
right.
there was these big red flowers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that there was a story that Montezuma, the Aztec king, would bring them into Mexico City and that as a cut flower. And that's what they primarily were used for, is as a cut flower.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it?
It is. It is. And that where there's also, if you ever had a poinsettia and you actually cut one of the leaves, you notice that it's like a white, milky substance.
Right.
Where it said also that the Aztecs used it to encourage breastfeeding in young babies.
About that, huh?
And I don't know if it's because of the color or because of how it tasted or what.
So-
But
it's like a milky,
yeah,
yeah,
like
little
milky
sap.
white.
Milky
White.
Mhm.
But that's another
Wow.
use. It's amazing. So many medicines are found that kind of way that they're
In the plants.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
it's
know, all of a
amazing.
sudden it's like, oh well, 5,000 years ago they used it for X,
That's
and now all
right.
of a sudden it's the latest thing that's on the market that you see on TV advertised.
Wow.
And as far as the first known botanist that actually paid attention to it and really documented it was a Spanish botanist, and that was, let me see here, 1780.
Wow.
So 1780.
Yeah.
And you and I are curious about how plants develop and where they come from and
Right.
what time period, what was going on in the country. And that it really didn't come into prominence until there's the guy from the U.S. who was the ambassador to Mexico,
Yes.
right?
Right.
And that his name was Joel Poinsett.
Poinsett.
Poinsett, that's right. first ambassador to Mexico.
How about that?
And that it goes to the 1820s.
Wow.
So 1820s, like what was our country like in the 1820s?
Well, there was a civil war, wasn't there?
Well, not quite
Not
yet.
quite yet?
Not quite
Almost.
yet, but there was no Texas. There was no Oklahoma. There was no, that was all, territory that the Joel Poinsett, he actually was really a spy. He was there just, he was ambassador. And maybe most ambassadors are. I don't know. That's above my pay grade.
Yeah.
But he went and was trying to work plants that would exchange and actually all types of trade between Mexico and the United States.
How about that?
So it interesting. So he came across this plant that was red and unique, and he brought it back with him. And he's saying, well, maybe this is something we could do. But he turned out to be a congressman, and the interesting thing is that it was John Quincy Adams that appointed him to the position.
That's right. I remember. Yeah.
And like everything's politics.
That's right.
He wanted to come home.
That's right.
And it turns out that Joel Poinsett was a friend of Andrew Jackson.
How about that?
Who was running for the office, and Quincy Adams, John
go.
Quincy Adams said, "Hey, you know what? You're staying in Mexico. He doesn't need any help because I want another term."
Poor fellow, he's stuck, huh?
It sounds like it could be today.
It does.
So
Amazing.
he ended up staying there.
Yeah,
So, but in also we were talking about how, what is that word that the Mexicans use? Poinsettia, and because the Mexicans wanted them out of the country.
Right.
Get out! We don't want you here.
Meddling.
Right?
Yes,
and is that what that means?
that's what that means. You're meddling in our business.
Say it again.
Poinsettismo. Poinsettismo.
And that means that you're meddling, and it still is used throughout Mexico.
Isn't that something? Thank you, Mr. Poinsett.
Yeah, right. Well, I guess he was meddling because he was a spy, right?
Yeah.
So, so he brought it back. Gave it to cuttings to friends or what have you, and it ended up where it has a Philadelphia connection.
Oh yeah, Bartram's on.
That's right, first time. Now again, Bartram Botanical Garden is present today.
It is
45 acres. Wow. It's a historical landmark, but back then it was actually a nursery that was trying to sell product, and that it listed the poinsettia. Okay, now it wasn't listed under poinsettia because it didn't become poinsettia yet. Yeah. That it was listed euphorbia in their catalog.
Oh, okay.
Now, do you know the story behind how it got poinsettia's name?
No. How did?
Well, what happened is that, and again in Europe, let's just say the common name is poinsettia. Not every place uses the same botanical, but there was it actually was another nursery in the Pennsylvania area that said, we're going to honor you because you brought this plant back. We're going to call it Euphorbia poinsettia.
Oh, how about that?
And so that's how it became known as the poinsettia. Now, interesting. So a spy in Mexico brings back a plant, and it becomes this traditional Christmas flower that we know today.
Incredible. Yeah, isn't it something?
It's amazing. It's amazing. And that it is a weed. I mean, this thing, it doesn't branch. When you see it in the wild, it looks nothing like what we have today.
I'd read where they can be 12 feet tall.
Yep.
That's pretty huge.
Yep.
That's a tree.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they grow wild along the coast of Mexico, western coast of Mexico, more towards in the mountains.
Mountain region.
Yeah. Let's just say that today there are some people growing other things that are consumed by the Americans, not necessarily legally.
Oh boy.
So it is
That's right.
Yeah. Let's just say that it's grown in the same area as some of the cartels that are existing
trying to get in
today. But that's another
More
show.
spies, huh?
Yeah. But the poinsettia has gone through a metamorphosis from this plant that has been a weed,
Weed.
basically
A tall
grown
weed,
for
right?
its cut flowers, like going all the way back to Montezuma. He wanted them as cut flowers, to where it's this nice, pretty,
Yeah.
almost you could put it on a centerpiece at this point. Now
You can't recognize it from what it
no,
was.
no, and there are
That's
some wild plants in that. I've seen some pictures of it, and
Right.
and it's really flat, and where what we call the flower is really bracts. They're really modified leaves.
Right.
The flower is actually the center portion.
The center little
yellow.
the little parts.
Yep, and that yellow portion is actually the male part of the flower, and that when it comes out, there's actually another piece of once it is pollinated, another section of the plant comes out. But that's another story.
Another story.
Yeah,
That's right.
So
How about that?
in our next segment,
Mhm.
what we're going to be talking about is how did it get from this obscure plant from
Right.
some spy in Mexico
Sure.
to being in actually production that it's in today.
Yeah.
So
That's a big leap, huh, Len?
Yeah, big. Well, not easy, but a
Yeah,
big
not
leap
easy,
just
yes.
the same.
Mhm.
So stay tuned, and we'll be right back after this. The holiday decorating season has begun, and using fresh greens, wreaths, roping, and cut trees inside and outside the house are all part of making the season merry and bright. But have you ever had those decorations start to drop those needles, dry out, and turn brown long before the holiday season is over? Bonide has the answer. Wilt Stop Christmas Tree and Wreath Ready to Use. It's an all-natural product. Once applied onto your Christmas trees, wreaths, roping, and greens, will put a clear coating on the greens, which keeps them from drying out. Wilt Stop Christmas Tree and Wreath Ready to Use seals that moisture in, so your decorations will stay fresh looking longer. Wilt Stop Christmas Tree and Wreath is available in a pint ready-to-use size with a convenient trigger sprayer. For those larger holiday decorating jobs, get Bonide's all-natural Wilt Stop Plant Protector, available in pint, quart, and gallon concentrates. Bonide products are family-made in America. Wilt Stop Christmas Tree and Wreath, ready to use, and other Wilt Stop products are available at these fine stores: Feeney's, Feasterville, PA; Dublin Agway, Dublin, PA; Primex Garden Center, Glenside, PA. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call us on the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. And if we use your question on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Well, Julio, we want people to call, right?
That's right.
If you've got a poinsettia question, we're there for you.
That's right.
We're there for you.
Great.
Well, so where did we leave off? Bartram Gardens,
Bartram,
right?
yes.
Right. So it's this obscure plant in their catalog back in 1838.
Yes.
So
Little did they know, huh?
that's right.
At that time.
That's right.
Wow.
So it's this plant that's grown as a cut flower, really.
Right.
Again, it didn't look like the poinsettias we have today, and that's where we're going.
Right. They were huge.
They were 12 foot tall,
Yes,
and it wasn't until 1920.
Wow.
Now, Paul Ecke, German immigrant.
German immigrant. Mhm.
Brett, German immigrant.
Yes, sir.
Wahoo!
They're on top of things.
Yeah. Just trying to conquer the new world.
Right.
So
Right.
in 1920, he's in California, and he sees this thing.
Wow.
And he says, you know what? Let's start a farm, and we're going to grow these. And where was he, Julio? Where did he start that farm?
In Hollywood.
Hollywood, California.
Look at that. Tinseltown.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, we're
it's
of all places, huh, Len?
Sunset Boulevard
Unbelievable.
had a farm to produce poinsettias.
Who would have thought of that?
I don't know. And again, they were trying. What they were doing is they were trying to produce it for cut flower production, and they kept trying maybe pot production, but these plants were huge.
Yeah.
So think about that. It's maybe it's easier to grow a big plant than it is a small plant for
Right.
poinsettias.
Who knows, right?
Whatever.
How about that?
So, so the Ecke family. So they are the basically. Oh, I guess how would you say the first family of poinsettias?
Yes, I would think so.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I think
Wow.
so. So they're in the in 1920s,
Right.
and that they're starting to get a name for themselves, and people in the on the East Coast, they see them and they want to maybe try to grow some.
How about that?
But it's a tropical plant,
That's right.
so they've got to figure out. All right, how do we go and how do we ship it? They were shipping by rail, but these canes that were dormant, and a cane is basically a stem.
Okay.
But these stems were enormous. I mean, stems were like 5 feet long.
Wow.
And that they would use those for cuttings, and you would have to root them
Right.
back east
Wow.
or in any other part of the country.
Right. Transport it.
Right. So Ecke's not only were producing the cut flower or trying to produce that potted flower for the Christmas growing season, but again, it naturally grows so that it hits at really it's the winter solstice. So
right.
it takes a lot to
December.
get these things timed right.
That's right.
But that's later in the show.
Right.
That's later in the show. So, okay. So, still mostly cut flowers are trying to do pot production. What they used to do to get them to look a little shorter rather than have these enormous plants.
A trick.
Now, those of you that are looking on YouTube right now, you're going to see me maybe do what they used to do. They used to take a stem.
Okay.
And they used to take a stem of the plant. Let me see if I can find something a little thinner. And they used to take this, and they used to basically bend the stem, and they used to crush it almost.
Wow.
To the point where, and this was done for a long time, into the 60s.
Wow.
Where they would take the stem, and basically, by bruising the stem with their fingers, they would take it, and they would bend it.
Right.
And that it wouldn't break.
Wouldn't break, wow.
Right. So that they would bend it so that it would shorten it up. And then they would end up having the plant so that it would be looped around so that it would have a shorter stem.
Look at that. Who would have figured that out?
Well,
only the
tell you what. It was a way to get the plant shorter and more dense.
Right.
I'll tell you.
Step one, right? They had to figure something out, right?
That's right. That's right.
Wow.
All right.
Amazing.
So back to the Ecke Ranch.
Right.
And that's what they call it. They call it
Ecke
a ranch.
Ranch. Right.
Yeah. So in 1950, a variety was seen. And again, it's a sport or it's a varietal change.
Right.
And they saw a variety called Barbara Ecke. And the Eckes weren't, they were not. We'll go into, I guess it was Paul Ecke Jr., who was a real promoter, that they named all of their plants, by their family's name.
Wow, how about that?
So,
good job.
Barbara Ecke.
Barbara Ecke. Yeah.
There was a variety that had flowers that were 22 inches across.
Ooh,
I mean,
huge.
that's a big flower.
That is big.
That's a big flower.
That's huge.
Yeah, and that starting to look more and more like the plant that we know today, rather than having it filled with all of the yellow centers and only a few of the bracts. Now it's a big bract.
Wow.
So,
and that's almost 100 years, isn't it? From the 1820s, right? Bring it.
Right.
Here.
Yeah. So between the Joel Poinsett brought it to them.
Yeah. It's,
all right. So we're still working. And they're still trying to get that flower because it somewhat naturally blooms at Christmas time.
That's right.
There is a greenhouse, Mickelson of Ohio.
Wow.
Now, they are getting their product from Ecke, but they're trying to develop that potted plant that isn't gigantic, that isn't 6 feet tall or 5 feet tall or 3 feet. What they want is something that'll be for a table, something that's small and compact.
Nice.
And they're trying, and they had a whole bunch of cuttings, and they went and they said, all right, just bring them to the dump. Just dump them. In
the dumpster.
Yeah. Well, not the dumpster, but they basically composting them in a field someplace. So they took these seedlings and they went back and they looked.
Right.
And there was this one seedling still alive.
Huh.
And it was more dense, more compact,
How about that?
just what they were looking for. They took it out of the dump, and it turned out to be a better performer.
Wow, that's amazing.
And it was so good,
Uh-huh.
it almost put Ecke out of business.
Oh, my.
And that's how plants are discovered. It's not like
Isn't it amazing?
it's not like, oh, it's a poinsettia, so they're all the same.
Right.
No. Poinsettias go through.
Right.
There's so many different kinds, and it
Oh,
goes
my
through all
goodness.
these generations. And this is what we want to share with you: the history of knowing where these things come from
Yeah.
and how they grow and what they do. It's amazing. So,
Yeah, it is.
okay, this is 1963.
Wow.
Okay,
Right.
the one thing that the Mickelson greenhouses really did.
What's that?
So, how were the Ecke Ranch? How are they shipping or sharing the plants with other people? They were taking canes, right?
You're right, the big cane.
Shipping canes. So they're shipping. Basically,
Right.
you had to root them yourself. You had to do it.
Right.
Mickelson started shipping rooted cuttings. So they had basically baby
Baby
plants.
plants. Okay.
They're taking baby plants
Mhm.
from this variety.
How about that?
Again, the Paul Mickelson variety,
Right.
and that they were sending the baby plants rooted to all of the growers.
Oh. Okay.
So that's revolutionary. Now I
It
don't
is.
have a stick that I got to put in the ground. I got to hope that it roots. I
right.
waited too long. It's dried out.
Yeah.
So
What a mess.
it's something that's new. Okay, fast forward.
Wow.
Paul Ecke
Ecke
Jr.
Uh-huh.
All right, bear with me here. So
Hmm.
they're senior, now
Right.
his son.
Son.
So he had kids. This is hard work. Okay?
That's right.
Junior needed to find a nanny for his kids because everybody works in this business.
That's right.
You know, so he hired a German nanny, but the German nanny said, "Hey, I will only work for you if you find a job for my husband."
Oh, okay.
All right.
Good enough.
And they said, "All right, guess what? Franz Furworth. We'll have him. He'll be the gardener."
Oh, that's great.
All right, so he's the
Okay.
gardener.
There you go.
So turns out
What
the
happened?
gardener taught the Eckes how to hybridize plants.
Oh, look at that.
And he was the hybridizer of the Ecke poinsettias just until about the year 2000.
Ooh.
Have you heard of the winter rose poinsettia?
No, I haven't heard of that.
Winter rose, where it's real tight and looks like a bundle.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know
I've
what I'm
seen that
talking
one.
about?
Mhm,
Winter
sure.
rose poinsettia.
Mhm.
There's white and there's pink and there's red.
Yeah.
He was the hybridizer that did that.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
So
How about that?
amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Amazing how this all happens.
Right.
And that he is responsible for more poinsettias
about
than
that?
anybody in the world.
Oh, my goodness.
And now again, Ecke's, what were you saying? They were responsible for 70% or more.
70%, yes.
And at this time, it was even greater than that.
Oh, probably 90, I heard.
Yeah, I mean, it
Yes.
was they had more.
Oh,
They did it.
unbelievable.
They did it.
Mhm.
So when we come back, we're going to talk about how this also went on. Now, the next phase of this is pretty amazing because it started with the Ecke Ranch and now the German nanny and her husband,
Oh, boy. It's a family affair.
right? And now we go to another part of the world
Wow.
where the poinsettia takes another turn.
Oh, how about that?
We'll be back right after this. High Yield brand bone meal contains 10% slow-release natural phosphorus. It helps all plants to develop sturdy root systems and stimulate healthy growth. You'll use it every time you plant bulbs, but it also is an excellent supplement fertilizer for roses, flowers, and vegetable gardens. High Yield bone meal is sourced from steamed bone meal, which provides a clean, natural source of phosphorus. High Yield is brought to you by VPG, the Fertilome people, and is available at these great stores: Daniel's Garden Center, Sumneytown Pike, Harleysville, Pennsylvania. Bloomers in the Garden is an hour-long gardening radio program that airs to over 6 million residents throughout the Delaware Valley. From Allentown to Wilmington, from the Main Line to the Jersey Shore, Bloomers in the Garden can be heard twice each Saturday morning, first at 8 a.m. on 860 WWDB and again at 9 on 610 a.m. ESPN Radio. Each episode of Bloomers in the Garden will be broadcast on Bloomers' Facebook page and available as a podcast on bloomersinthegarden.com. Bloomers in the Garden is adding sponsors. Share your message to our large, diverse group of listeners. Commercials and segment sponsorships are available at incredibly affordable prices. Let Bloomers in the Garden get your message out to one of the largest and most diverse populations in the country. If you're interested in joining us in the garden, please visit bloomersinthegarden.com or email len@bloomers.com. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call us on the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. And if we use your question on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. All right, we're going around the world.
We are.
It's from Mexico to California. And now we're going to be going we're going back to talk about Annette Haig.
Wow.
Now we had Ecke Branch with the help of the German nanny's husband developing all these new varieties, trying to get this thing a little more compact. But the problem is you always had to cut it. You always had to manipulate it to get it to branch because it wants to be that same plant that grows a great big cut flower. So you'd have to kind of trick it to do it. I mean, we talked about how you had to bend the foliage and the stems back.
Right.
What a mess.
Right.
But
Mess.
So there's a variety that was found, and again, another Norwegian grower.
Right.
Norway plays an interesting part in poinsettias.
About that.
There was a variety that was found called Annette Haig, and it was the first free-branching, compact, modern poinsettia. So what that means is that it branched on its own low, and it didn't need, it still needs to be pinched, but not the way, it doesn't need to be manipulated the way that the previous varieties did.
Right.
Okay? And so what happened? Ecke made a deal. Hey, you know, we are the biggest producers of poinsettias in the world. Share with us this. And that Annette Haig is a variety that sometimes you can still see that Annette Haig variety today. 1968. 1968.
Wow.
But the story gets better. Okay.
Right.
So Paul Ecke Senior going on vacation. Now, this is, you know, there wasn't credit cards everywhere, so he'd take a bundle of money, and he would go to Europe.
Wow.
He came across a Norwegian backyard grower named, oh my gosh, I don't think I can even say this name. It was Gregor Gutbier. Right. Backyard grower, small time.
Little guy.
But all of a sudden, Senior's looking through the poinsettias, and my God, they're perfect.
Wow.
They're that dwarf compact thing that he's been searching for all this time.
How about that, huh?
He said, how do you do it? Do you remember what he said? I'm not telling.
That's right.
No, tell me, how did you do it?
Oh,
I'll give you money.
Right.
I'll give you money. I'll give you royalties.
Wow.
And you know what? And that's what happened.
How about that?
He told them, and it was a trade secret for years on how he did it. Ecke had the technology, created this partnership.
Nice.
And it turned out, you know how they did it? It wasn't a new plant.
Right.
They took that I guess I call it pruning. Let's call it this the Annette Haig variety, the free branching one.
Free branch.
And grafted it with any other poinsettia. Any poinsettia. And what happened is that graft made it take on the characteristics of the Annette Haig.
Oh.
And that was a trade secret for 20 years.
Oh my gosh.
And so
look at that.
all of a sudden, the Ecke Ranch is growing like crazy. They've got all these customers. They're doing good things, and they're great growers. But it's a secret. We can't tell you exactly how it's done.
That's amazing story right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now we're almost into contemporary history, at least for me. I'm getting older.
That's right.
So, professor from Minnesota,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to figure it out.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
going to figure it out.
There you go.
And you know what?
What?
He did. He
Oh,
figured it out,
no.
and then he shared it with everybody for nothing and almost put Ecke under.
Poor guy.
You know, these guys work, these guys work really, really hard.
That's right.
And that for them to all of a
boy.
sudden give that away,
That's,
and I,
boy.
you asked me what about patents and things.
Right.
To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know if that's a patented thing or a
Right.
patentable thing,
Right.
but it was a trade secret for years,
That was
and
broken.
that professor in Minnesota shared it with everybody and ruined the monopoly for Ecke. So that's and we were talking about numbers.
Right.
How many poinsettias are sold in a year? So
Oh, my
poinsettias in 1976, it was a $40 million crop.
Wow.
25 years later, after it's gone through this transition where it's
Right.
a nice, dense, pretty little plant that
Mhm.
can be put onto a coffee table without blocking the television, or
That's
can be
right.
put, somewhere in hotel lobbies without
Sure.
being, gangly and ugly.
Right.
25 years later, so year 2000, 2001, now it's a $250 million crop.
Oh, my.
250 million. Now, how did it get there? All right.
Mr. Ecke.
Junior.
Junior. That's right.
Junior's on the scene. So
Oh,
senior
no
is
doubt.
the brains that started it and got the
Right.
thing going. But Junior's the promoter.
That's right.
Again,
Boy, he's
they're
good.
in Southern California. So what did they do?
Phew.
Now, again, poinsettias, and even going back to the 70s, I mean, poinsettias there were other plants that were
Right.
Christmas plants as well. People did other things for Christmas besides
That's right.
poinsettias. Poinsettias were around, but they were like,
No big deal.
maybe a cyclamen,
Right.
amaryllis, paper
Amaryllis,
white.
Paperwhite, yes.
A lot of those things were already established as a
Mhm.
Christmas plant.
Right.
So what happened is Junior went and said, I know what I'll do.
Right.
Free promotion.
Ah.
Tonight Show. Da-da-da-da-da. Here you go. Have some poinsettias. Have
about
some
that?
poinsettias.
Johnny.
He went to every studio, every news station, everywhere, and gave them free poinsettias to adorn their set.
Unbelievable.
So every time you turned on the tube, you saw poinsettias. There was even a thing. Do you remember the Dinah Shore show?
I remember Dinah Shore.
Even the
Wow.
Dinah Shore show would fill
Boy,
with
you know.
poinsettias.
If you saw it on her,
Yeah.
it's everywhere.
Well,
Right?
even continue. Jay Leno.
Jay
There was a
Leno.
clip of Jay Leno thanking
Wow.
the Eckies for the poinsettias
How
that they
about that?
provided him. So, I mean, this is not like
Right.
old. This is
Yeah,
fairly
this is pretty
new.
Yes.
This is
It's
fairly
amazing.
new.
Wow.
So,
Pretty amazing, huh, Len?
it is, and it's just it's amazing on how breeding and poinsettias get to in any plant to where it gets to where it is. Like
Right.
those proven winter plants.
Sure.
Proven winter is a way that it's basically proven winter isn't a plant,
Right.
but it's a hybridizing giant.
Right.
They're doing every type of plant that you could imagine.
Right.
It's pretty. They are really. I mean, so let's talk about the Eckies a little bit.
You know what I love, Len?
Mm-hmm.
It's a family affair.
It is
If you, the three sons.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. It's
family affair,
and that's what gardening is all about. The way it's
It is.
done.
we talked about it. It's a little more
Yes.
wholesome than a lot of industries. It's
Right.
a little different.
Uh-huh.
I think it was the third, Paul Ecke the third.
Third.
He went and started production in Guatemala. But again, it was this
Right.
family against giants.
That's right.
And it was harder and harder and harder to keep the technology
my
going
goodness.
and to try to keep up.
Right.
And it ended up in, I think it was 2012,
Right.
that the Eckies ended up
Right.
selling.
Len, you were talking about number because you're a numbers guy.
I am a numbers guy.
Most of the selling of the plants are done when? It's only a small period of time.
Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine
That's
if it was
right.
like year round?
That's right.
you
And they're
know,
trying. They're trying with
oh,
new
are they?
varieties.
Oh, they are?
They're trying with new varieties.
How about that?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to grow poinsettia. It's not
Yeah,
an
it's
easy
not easy.
thing.
No, it's
Not an easy thing.
No, it's not.
But we'll go into that in just a little bit. So Eckies sold
Right.
They went, they sold it to, and now
Kinda sad,
they
isn't
still own the name.
All right.
No, I'm sorry. The company that bought it is still using the name. It's called Dumb and Orange. It's a, I'm not sure if it's a Dutch or German company.
Right.
They have facilities
All over.
everywhere, all over the world,
Big time.
all over the world.
Right. How about that?
And when it's not a family business anymore, it is
Right.
a commercial entity.
Right.
So, but what
That's
you
okay.
mentioned about how to get a poinsettia grow, we're going to take a break, but we're going to get into what it takes to have a poinsettia that really
Right.
looks like the one that you can buy at Bloomers.
Right. That's right.
That's right.
Good.
All right. We'll be back right after this. The holiday decorating season has begun, and using fresh greens, wreaths, roping, and cut trees inside and outside the house are all part of making the season merry and bright. But have you ever had those decorations start to drop those needles, dry out, and turn brown long before the holiday season is over? Bonide has the answer. Wilt Stop Christmas Tree and Wreath Ready to Use. It's an all-natural product. Once applied onto your Christmas trees, wreaths, roping, and greens, will put a clear coating on the greens, which keeps them from drying out. Wilt Stop Christmas Tree and Wreath Ready to Use seals that moisture in, so your decorations will stay fresh looking longer. Wilt Stop Christmas Tree and Wreath is available in a pint ready-to-use size with a convenient trigger sprayer. For those larger holiday decorating jobs, get Bonide's all-natural Wilt Stop Plant Protector, available in pint, quart, and gallon concentrates. Bonide products are family-made in America. Wilt Stop Christmas Tree and Wreath, ready to use, and other Wilt Stop products are available at these fine stores: Magnolia Garden Village, Magnolia, New Jersey; Rosedale Mills, Pennington, New Jersey; Animals and Gardens Unlimited, New Egypt, New Jersey. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call us on the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. And if we use your question on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Well, then, what does it take to grow a poinsettia?
Wow. Well, it took a lot when the Eckies started.
That's right.
Now it's actually relatively
Easier?
I don't know about it easy. Yeah. You know, the plants that you're buying,
Right.
like at Bloomers, they started all the way back in the beginning of June.
Wow.
You know, I was down in the greenhouses visiting, and I brought back video.
You did?
I mean, it's incredible.
Wow.
The value that you get for the points. You said I'm a numbers guy.
Right.
I mean, it's June, July, August, September, October, November. So it's 6 months.
6 months. Wow.
7 months.
And they were already in process.
They were in process.
Wow.
So they were little baby plants.
How about that?
And it was interesting when I was there that this greenhouse was actually a rooting station, which means that that's where they rooted the plants, and they sell them to other people to grow on.
Okay.
They also do finished material. But they were sending the cuttings to Bermuda.
Bermuda?
Yeah, so they were being rooted in New Jersey,
how about
being
that?
sent to Bermuda.
Wow, that's amazing.
Interesting.
is.
So a little respect for the poinsettia.
That's right. We love those.
We do.
We love them. They're wonderful plants.
But here's one thing.
yes.
Poinsettias naturally, right, that they'll bloom. They're a southern hemisphere plant, and they are photoperiodic.
Huh.
There's a
How about
$10 word. What the heck does that mean? It basically means that you have to adjust the light in order to get them to be timed correctly.
Right.
It takes 15 weeks,
Whew.
at least, for a poinsettia from rooted cutting to finished plant.
So you got to be patient now.
They have,
Yeah.
they have to be pinched depending on varieties. Okay, they need lighting. So some places have lighting. I've got an interesting story. Again,
Go ahead.
we're talking about photoperiodic.
Right.
They need lighting, but they also need to be shaded to get them to color up. So you don't get pulling on a poinsettia flower. But those of you watching on YouTube, you don't get that red color
Right.
unless you have them timed right.
Oh, okay. So
Like you could end up where your poinsettia crop
are
ends
green?
up, yeah, they're not in color. And but you can
okay.
control that too, where you could have them at Thanksgiving.
Okay.
You ever wonder how on the parade where everybody's surrounded by
Right.
Thanksgiving,
Yeah, what's
there's
that all
still
about?
poinsettias?
Because of the timing,
Yep, timing.
Uh-huh.
And it has to do with manipulation of the light,
lighting,
the light
okay.
cycle. So
How about that?
if you're going to try to get your poinsettia to come back,
Right.
you need to get it into 12 hours of light, 12 hours to darkness,
Okay.
and that will initiate the red bracts that you see.
Now,
in
how do you get
initiating
them
the flower.
into this darkness? You put them in
The
a
closet?
the
You put them
closet,
in.
right?
And here's the story I was going to tell. I knew a grower
Okay.
where had been growing poinsettias for years and years and years.
Wow.
Town came along, put street lights in, completely threw off his crop.
Oh no.
He missed the crop
Oh no.
because of the lighting.
Wow.
Messed up his poinsettia crop because before when he shut the lights
The
out
whole
and
crop
left,
went.
yeah,
Oh.
it didn't go. It didn't
Oh.
die. It just didn't
Just
flower at
didn't
the right
flower
time.
What he wanted.
So he missed the crop.
Wow.
That's
That was tough.
yeah. Can you imagine?
Just the lighting affects it.
Just the lighting affects it. We were talking a couple weeks ago about African violets, right?
Right.
How it takes lighting
Lighting.
to get the African violets to bloom.
That's right.
Interesting. So,
Yep.
but luckily, you all don't need to worry about any of that,
That's right.
right? That's something that the growers do have to
Yeah.
worry. So, and again, they need to get it into the shading so that they get it to initiate flowering,
Right.
and that it also, they need to look out for whitefly. They need
Oh,
to change their
yes.
fertilizer injector
Mhm.
so that it's by parts per
Mhm.
million
Wow.
of how they're feeding. It is a crop that is not just let's throw it in a bigger pot and let's just watch it grow.
Watch it grow now.
No, there's more to it.
No.
There's more to it.
Mm-hmm.
So
How about that?
poinsettias are red, right?
No, not really.
That's right.
Not if you go to our store.
They started growing poinsettias
Right.
for Thanksgiving and for
How about that?
that earlier
Right.
growth, because you were saying before, it's only a 5-week time
Yeah,
where you
short.
get poinsettias.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're trying to get it so that people are buying poinsettias for Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving,
And they
yes.
are.
Oh,
We used to sell mums and some other things
Right.
for Thanksgiving. We sell now more poinsettias than we do of anything else.
Wow, that's gorgeous.
And some of the new varieties that they have,
Right.
there's autumn leaves, which is like an orange
Okay.
color.
Orangey,
Yeah,
okay.
there's, let's see, we have got some others that, again, there's Picasso is a little different. It's got a little bit of a shading
Picasso,
to it.
Like this one right here.
There you go.
There you go.
Yep, you've got it.
Picasso.
If Julio is lifting up a plant and showing me.
Yeah.
Gold Rush is another one for
Gold
the
Rush.
fall.
Wow.
So there are dozens of varieties.
Really?
The leaves
Mhm.
are different
Hundreds.
shapes. They look some like holly leaves.
Mhm.
The actual flower themselves, which are bracts, look like that. Now, it's important to know
Right.
that a lot of people think that poinsettias are poisonous.
Oh no.
They are not.
Nope.
They're not. In fact, if you look,
That's right.
I am going to take a leaf right now.
Okay. Go ahead, Len.
I'm going to. You want to do it?
No. Yeah, I'll do it.
You're going to eat a leaf?
Sure.
I'm eating a poinsettia leaf.
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
Little nutty.
Okay.
Little nutty.
Nice.
Right?
Right.
Doesn't taste bad.
That's good.
Yeah.
You're still alive.
No. No. And poinsettias are not poisonous.
We are crushing that myth right here.
That's right.
Right here,
now.
right now.
Right now.
Right now.
I have poinsettia between my teeth.
That's right. And Len is still alive, and it's not poisonous.
No.
They are
no.
not poinsettia. Poinsettia. Whatever.
That's great. They are not.
All
You call the poison control center. They will tell you the same thing.
That's right.
Your animals are safe. Listen, if they ate the entire thing, they may get a stomach ache, but so would I.
Right.
But
Yeah.
still, it is not a poisonous plant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I might have another leaf. It's not
There
bad.
you go. No,
It doesn't. It does not taste bad.
No.
You know how like the mescaline leaf lettuce tastes a little bit bitter.
Right,
That's
right,
what
a
this
little
tastes like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, not
Look-
poisonous.
There you go. A little,
not poisonous.
Little bit of salt and pepper on there, and you got it.
So when we come back after this,
Right.
we're going to talk about how you can take care of your poinsettia once you get it home.
That's right.
All right, we'll be back after this. The Bird Sanctuary at Bloomer's Home and Garden Center is dedicated to the care and feeding of wild birds. We carry a flock of feeders like the Brome Squirrel-Proof Feeder, which has a lifetime guarantee. Brome makes fantastic feeders for frustrating squirrels and feeding songbirds. Bloomer's Bird Sanctuary has a vast selection of wild bird seed, suet, seed cakes, and mealworms. We carry Lyric, Coles, C&S, Pine Tree Farms, and our own line called Bloomer's Blend. Bloomer's Blend Songbird Magnet contains premium black oil sunflower, peanut splits, millet, safflower, and tree nuts. It's sure to attract the most colorful songbirds to your yard. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center is located in Washington Township in Gloucester County, New Jersey. Visit us online at www.bloomers.com. When you come in, ask for Shirley Spurbeck, Bloomer's Wild Bird Specialist. Mention you heard it on Bloomers in the Garden Radio, and we'll give you $10 off a 20-pound bag of Bloomer's Blend Songbird Magnet Mix. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call us on the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. And if we use your question on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Well, then we're going to take care of our poinsettias in the house.
That's right. That's right. So,
Right.
you buy a poinsettia
At Bloomers.
at Bloomers. That's
Yes.
right. And you get a beautiful poinsettia
Oh,
at
yes, you
Bloomers.
do.
Yes, you do. We get
Gorgeous.
anywhere from little 4-inch plant
Mm-hmm.
up to, gosh, we have 10-inch
10-inch
giant.
big ones. Yeah, I love
they're-
those.
They're like 3 foot across or more.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
we talked about light.
Right.
You want to put a poinsettia in a room that has enough light so that you could read a newspaper comfortably.
There you go.
And that it's not a lot,
No.
so it doesn't need full sun, full
Full.
direct sun.
Mhm.
You know, light is not an issue.
Right.
Light is not an issue.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest concerns are making sure that it's kept moist
Okay.
but not wet.
Not overly.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
that's a recipe for most houseplants.
Mm.
So you're
Right.
going to want to water it. The heat is on. It's
Right.
going to dry out sooner,
Quicker.
and that you're just going to want to keep it moist. The smaller the pot, the more often you're probably going to have to
Right.
water it.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you get a saucer
Right.
underneath it. That will help you with watering because it'll soak
Come
up
down.
and it'll wick some of that
Mhm.
water up through it.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm.
That's a good idea.
Yes.
The biggest problem with poinsettias are when they get in a draft.
Oh, okay.
So don't put them near your front door where the
Mhm.
door opens
That's
and
right.
a gush of cold air.
Cold air comes in.
They're tropical, subtropical
right.
plants.
Mm-hmm.
They are not meant for that cold
That's right.
draft. That's why at Bloomers, every time we send a poinsettia out, we
Right.
put a sleeve over it
Oh, yes.
to protect it from
Protect you.
just that little draft from the car
Car.
to the, and getting it home.
Right.
It's
that
important. No drafts.
Right. We
You
take
know,
care of that.
And also think about this.
Mhm.
You've got a heating vent or something near there. You got to
Oh, the
be
air.
aware
Mhm. Dry.
that it's going to dry it out
Right.
faster.
Right.
Dry
Yeah.
out
Good,
faster.
good to know there, Len.
Yep. So, question now is, okay, the bracts, which are modified leaves,
Right.
are actually what most people call the flower.
Right.
But the flower is actually the center part.
Center
Like,
part. Right.
Yeah, like there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep. And that when every poinsettia,
Right.
eventually they're going to fall off.
That's right.
They just fall off.
Yeah.
And sometimes you may get another, like, it looks like a great big one
Big
of
one?
those, but that is actually,
Yeah.
that's the female part of the
Okay.
flower
Right.
that it actually pollinated. That's a good thing.
It's good. Yeah.
And inside there grows a seed.
There's a seed,
All right,
yeah.
too much information. So
Uh,
after all of those center portions fall out,
right.
just treat it like a houseplant.
That's right.
It's
Easy.
easy to grow.
That's right.
This thing will stay in color
Oh,
probably past Valentine's Day.
right.
And once you get it into
Sure.
the summertime or even into, say, I don't know what, say I guess we have to get past the frost-free date.
Right.
You could put it outside, treat it like a house
Sure.
plant, and just treat it like
Yeah.
a patio plant. Let it
Mhm.
grow, let it grow.
Yeah.
And if you want to go and try to time it for Christmas,
Right.
good luck. You can do it. But again, it requires that you have to control the lighting,
lighting
in order to time it.
Right.
What I would do is let it go natural. Let it go native.
Yes.
Go back to
Green.
when
Oh,
it's going to bloom based on the light that it naturally gets.
right.
Like we're approaching that now where it's that 12-hour light and darkness period,
Right.
and where it will change over soon. That'll naturally flower on its own. You
Right.
may miss the timing for Christmas, but it's still
Yeah,
a
it still
cool
looks
plant.
good. Beautiful plant.
Yeah, it's easy to take care of.
Mhm.
It's a great plant. It's a
Yeah, we
great
love
plant.
it.
Yep.
We love it.
Watering. Just make sure you time the watering. Sometimes what happens is that it'll drop all of its leaves if you don't time that watering right. But you know what I always say, right?
What's that?
Okay, I'm the money guy.
That's right.
Say it, Julio. After Christmas,
You can throw it out.
yes, you can. Put it in the compost
That's
pile.
right.
I mean, enjoy it for as long as it looks pretty and you
That's
enjoy it.
right.
But don't try to say, oh, I want to save it. I want to save it.
Right.
Because sometimes it may be torturing you because it's
That's
not
right.
in flower. But don't worry about it. It's just a plant. It's not a puppy.
That's right. That's right.
So,
Not a puppy. is
yeah,
right.
but so again, if you want to keep it as a house plant, just keep it as a house plant.
That's
It'll look gangly. Like I said, it's going to go native.
It is.
It's going to
look-
start stretching a little bit, and it's not going to
Yes.
look the same that you
Nope.
got it when you
No.
got it in, from bloomers at Christmas time.
And like you're saying, Lan, they're coming in earlier now in Thanksgiving. So
That's right. That's right. But they're forced
They're
to do
forced.
that. The
That's right.
varieties are forced
Little
into
forced.
blooming at that time
Mhm.
period. So just relax.
that's right. enjoy this beautiful coloring.
Keep it out of the draft.
Yes.
Water it. Keep
Water
it
it.
moist but not wet.
Right.
Keep it in a room where there's enough light
Light.
to read a newspaper
Newspaper.
by comfortably.
Right.
And
Beautiful.
it's drafts, really. Drafts are the thing that do
That's
it
the
more
one.
often
That's a
than not.
killer.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And make sure you use a saucer.
Saucer.
And one
Right.
thing, if you have foil on it,
Mm-hmm.
just make sure you're not overwatering because that foil clogs up
Clogs it up.
those
Right.
the spots where it the drainage holes in the pots. So
That's
just
I like to take mine off.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
get rid of it.
I had a grower call them plant killers. They're plant killers.
Plant killers.
So
There you go.
anyway, all right. In our next section, we're going to be talking about everything that we've learned about poinsettias.
That's right.
So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Bloomers in the Garden is brought to you each week by Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Bloomers is an award-winning garden center just 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Bloomers has been providing expert advice turning brown thumbs green for over 30 years. At Bloomers, we want you to ask us every question, even if you think it's silly. We share information in a friendly, non-judgmental way that is meant to teach and spread the joy of gardening. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County. For directions, go to bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden.
See me and Julio down by the schoolyard. See me and
Man, Julio.
down by the schoolyard.
So there's more than just a pretty plant.
That's right. That's right. More than just what you see. Right?
So let's see what we went
Amazing.
through. The ambassador of Mexico in 1820 discovers this weed that's
Right,
growing.
the spy, yeah.
Right.
He's
The
a spy.
Aztecs were using it to help mothers nurse their
Their
babies.
yeah.
I mean,
Using it for dye. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
yep. We each ate a leaf and are still alive.
still alive,
Not
yeah.
poisonous.
Yep.
Not
pretty,
poisonous.
And it tasted pretty good.
It wasn't bad.
No.
Maybe thanks to our Christmas dinner,
Uh-huh.
we'll go and mix some in our salad. That
Oh,
would freak
that would be
people out,
great.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would.
But we would bring our point across.
That's right.
You know, it's amazing
Uh-huh.
of the color selection that
right.
you can find these days.
Amazing.
There's a variety, Jingle Bells. I'm pulling it up here for those of you watching on YouTube.
Yeah, that's
and
pretty cool.
Now that's not
that-
cinnamon.
that's-
That's Picasso.
Picasso,
right?
yeah.
Just
Is that cool or what?
they're beautiful.
They're
And that
gorgeous.
the leaves on the Jingle Bells
Uh-huh.
is the actual bracts, the flowers. They have
Look at that.
almost like a holly leaf to them,
Yes.
where it's the shape of a holly leaf, not
Wow.
that just oblong pointed leaf.
That's right. Wow.
Different. And like look at the white and the
Oh
contrast.
yeah. It looks like they painted it.
Yep. Yep.
It's amazing.
Yep. Go out
It's just
to
amazing.
your garden center this week and buy yourself a really
Right.
nice poinsettia.
And think about all that went through, huh, Len? Oh, my goodness. You know, like the whole history, the whole process.
that's
oh, it's
right.
amazing.
Respect for this little
Oh,
plant.
it's an amazing plant. It's the most amazing plant. And it's the one that outsells everything,
It is.
you know?
It is.
It's amazing.
I mean, you know what? Probably $500,000 or what was it? $500 million. So $500 million in sales probably
That is,
at this point.
that is beyond what I can
don't
think
know.
of.
I don't know. You know, it's
a beautiful
something that is easy because
Yes.
even if the flowers,
Right.
not the modified leaves, which are the bracts, the flowers in the center
Right.
fall out, you still have a beautiful
Oh,
plant.
yes, yes.
And most people don't know.
That's right. Which one is your favorite one, Len?
My favorite, you know, the pink.
You like the yeah, that's cool.
There's
It's different.
there's a few different varieties of pink.
Look at that.
You see the
Oh,
center of that?
That's gorgeous.
Yep. And I took a couple of house plants, right? Typical house plants,
Right.
Dieffenbachia.
Uh-huh.
I took some it was not, and I. Long story short, I made a mixed container
Oh, you did.
of poinsettias with house plants, and it looks awesome.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds
Nice.
beautiful.
Keep just nice and simple. Didn't you know?
Yes.
So it has a little touch of,
Yes, I like that.
and for truth be told, I swapped that poinsettia will be swapped out
Uh-huh.
after Christmas
There
for
you go.
another like a cyclamen or some
Yeah.
other type of
Nice.
winter type flower.
I like that.
Yeah, I think
Very
everybody should try it.
Yes.
So
There you go. Good tip.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So
Creative.
next
Creative.
week we'll be back here,
That's
same
right.
time, same bat channel, and we're
That's
going to
right.
talk about your Christmas tree,
That's
how's it's
right.
doing now.
How about that?
We'll be discussing keeping your greens green.
Yeah, that's right. And we're going to also talk about some other holiday plants other than poinsettias.
Okay. Birds, all that.
Oh,
Birds.
man.
Feeding the birds in winter, huh?
My birds were going nuts on my feeders. It got really cold this week.
Oh, yeah.
And they were telling me it was going to get cold
Uh-huh.
before it even, got down to being real cold.
There you go.
So, and then we're also going to focus on suet
Ooh.
bird food.
Suet.
Brett,
you,
excellent
Brett.
job. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett.
And we'll see you here in the garden.
See you in the garden.
Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call us on the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. And if we use your question on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Bloomers in the Garden is an hour-long gardening radio program that airs to over 6 million residents throughout the Delaware Valley. From Allentown to Wilmington, from the Main Line to the Jersey Shore, Bloomers in the Garden can be heard twice each Saturday morning, first at 8 a.m. on 860 WWDB and again at 9 on 610 a.m. ESPN Radio. Each episode of Bloomers in the Garden will be broadcast on Bloomers' Facebook page and available as a podcast on bloomersinthegarden.com. Bloomers in the Garden is adding sponsors. Share your message to our large, diverse group of listeners. Commercials and segment sponsorships are available at incredibly affordable prices. Let Bloomers in the Garden get your message out to one of the largest and most diverse populations in the country. If you're interested in joining us in the garden, please visit bloomersinthegarden.com or email len@bloomers.com.